Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm making some fun spring and Easter projects with my Cricut machine. Here's some of the products and materials I'll be using to craft with today. While you're watching, let me know in the comments which project is your favorite. I hope this gives you some crafting inspiration. I had so much fun putting these together, so let's jump right in. For my first project, I found these picture frames at the Target Bullseye section for $5 each. I thought the trim around the frame was just so adorable. I love that they are both speckled and the colors are really pretty for spring too. Instead of putting pictures in the frames, I want to personalize it by adding cardstock and vinyl into it and then using it as decor. I wanted some pretty floral paper for a couple of my projects, and I found this one at Michael's. This is only 6 by 6 inches, but it will work for both of my projects. I didn't need a big thing of paper. I'm using this pink cardstock as well for one of the frames. First, what I'm going to do is take out the little insert in each frame and measure both of those. These are really random measurements, so I need to get out my little guide that I have. The height for this is 5.937. The width is 4.375. The Target Bullseye section is sometimes hit or miss, but their spring and Easter stuff right now is so cute. Have you guys picked anything up this year? I just wanted to buy everything. It was bad. The height for this is 5.625. and the width is 3.812. I'm going to rip out the floral design that I want. I'm starting off in Creative Fabrica. I found this Rustic Easter SVG bundle. I thought it had some really cute SVGs in here. If you've watched my channel for a long time, you know that I grab most of my SVGs and fonts from Creative Fabrica. I have their membership so I can download anything from this website, and I really love it. I always have a link down in my description box if you're looking for an SVG that I'm using or if you want to check out their membership. I'll download that, then I'll pull it into Cricut Design Space. There's a couple that I'm looking at, so I'm going to upload both of them. I'm going to pull these to the side for now. I'm going to go over to the shapes and grab the two shapes of the insert of those frames. So one of them was like an arch. This one's upside down, but I can flip it. And the other one was an oval. I'm just going to put in the dimensions that I measured for the oval. Then I'm going to do the same for this one. I'm just going to rotate it first, then I'll put that in here. This one is going to be that floral cardstock. I think I'll just keep it this grayish black color, but this one is going to be the pink cardstock. So I'm going to switch this to pink. Now I can pull these in and see which SVG I want to use. We have that one. I was thinking with this one, I could make this a palm branch and switch the bunny to a cross. I might see what that looks like really quickly. Now I need to decide which one I like better, which is a really tough choice. I'm having a really hard time deciding, but I still think I like the He Is Risen better. I like that for my sizing. I'm going to keep it just like that. I need to attach it before I pull it onto the mat. I think I'll just make it a light pink color since I'm using light pink vinyl. Okay, now I can click the make button. Like I said, this is going to be the floral cardstock. This is going to be vinyl. Hopefully it cuts out okay because there are some very tiny pieces in there. And this is just the pink cardstock. For my cut setting, I'm just going to select medium cardstock. I place the cardstock on the mat, then load it into the Cricut machine for it to cut it out. This cardstock is the Recollections brand from Michael's, which is my favorite. It cuts so well on the Cricut machine. Next, the Cricut is going to cut out the vinyl. This is Tech Wrap Craft Permanent, and it's the light pink. When decorating for Easter, do you like more of the bright spring colors or do you prefer more of the pastel colors? I kind of like a mixture of both. I think it looks really pretty to incorporate both of those into my decor. The Cricut is cutting out the pink cardstock. This is also the Recollections brand. I'm going to go in and weed out my adhesive vinyl. I was worried about how it would cut because there's a lot of tiny pieces, and it did an amazing job. It weeded so well. Now I'm ready to add my transfer tape. I will be adding this to cardstock, so be careful with what transfer tape you use for a project like this. You don't want it to be too sticky, otherwise it will pick up some of that paper and kind of rip it. I use the Caesar transfer tape and I will never use another one because it is the best. It's just perfect. It picks up the vinyl well, it releases the vinyl well. I have links in my description box for it. You can buy it on Amazon or 143 Vinyl. I was debating on the vinyl color and I'm loving the light pink. I almost did a cream, but I'm happy with this one. I added this into the picture frame and I didn't even think about the edge being wider. So the design went past the edge, so it cut it off a little bit. I'm going to add the floral cardstock into the green frame. Then I decided to redo this one. I just wanted the design to be in the center and not covered up. I measured the front of the frame to help me decide what size to lower the design to. Design space, you can see the width for this is 4.075. I am going to make it 3.5 inches. I'm going to try to center this. I might even make it just the tiniest bit smaller. Okay, I'm going to hide the oval and this pennant shape, then I'll cut this out again. For my cut setting for this, I use Premium Vinyl Permanent Glossy. The Cricut is cutting out the vinyl. I always like to show my mistakes in here. In past videos, I've had a lot of people comment and say they appreciate that. I've had my Cricut for 7 years and I make mistakes all the time still. I think it's just part of being a crafter. This looks so much better. The centering is honestly a little bit off. You can see it's more to the left. I could have put the cardstock in the frame and added it that way. That would have been the smartest move, but I really love how it turned out. I realized the floral design is upside down because for some reason in Cricut Design Space, it put the arch upside down. So we're starting off really strong with this project. I decided to cut one more so it's going the correct direction, but I also thought it looked a little plain, so I decided to add some vinyl to it. I'm using the same vinyl and I'm going to have the Cricut cut out a cross. Like I was talking about earlier, I'm going to put the cardstock in the frame without the little clear cover on it, and I'll just line it up from the front. I love that I added it. It looks so pretty. I could have done maybe a little bit darker color pink so it would have shown up more, but you can see it a little bit better in person. I put it on my built-in shelves in my living room and I think it looks so pretty in there. For my next project, I'm going to use more of this floral cardstock to make a banner. I'm also going to use white pom-poms and some ribbon. My daughter has 2 clear acrylic bookshelves in her room, and I love to add holiday banners to it. This one, I'm going to be making bunny ones. Next, I'm going to download this Easter Bunny SVG and pull it into Cricut Design Space. Here's the design that I'm using for the banner. I want to get rid of these cutouts. To do that, I'm going to ungroup this. I'll click on each one, go down to the contour button at the bottom right, and hide those. Next, I'm going to size these. I'm going to highlight over all of them so they kind of stay how they are and stay uniform, and I'm just going to bring it smaller. I want the tallest to be around 4.5 inches. That makes each one about 2.3 to 2.6 for the width. I am going to be duplicating these, but before I do that, I am going to add some holes in the ears so it will cut it out and I can easily thread string through it. I am just going to grab a circle from the shapes button and then make it quite a bit smaller. Okay, that looks good. I'll hit Command D on my keyboard to duplicate it. Then I'm going to hit Shift on my keyboard and select both. I want to make sure they're lined up so the string is nice and even. I'll select Align to Bottom, and I might move them just a little bit. Okay, that looks great. Now I am going to hit Shift on my keyboard to select both circles. I'll hit Duplicate, then I'll bring them over here. Just gonna bring these in just a little bit. I'll do the same thing. I'll hit Duplicate. That looks good. Now I need to slice these out of here. To do that, I'm going to select on the bunny and just one of the circles. I'm just dragging my mouse over it. You can't slice more than 2 layers at a time. I'll come down here and select Slice. Then I'll just delete these circles. Next, I'm going to highlight over this bunny again. You can't see the circle anymore because it brought the bunny to the top of the layers panel, but you can see that it's still selected since I just highlighted over it. I'll come down and select Slice. Then I'll just delete the slice results out of here. I'm going to do the same thing for the others. Next, what I'm going to do is duplicate these. I just like to drag my mouse over all 3 to select them. Then I'll hit Command D on my keyboard to duplicate. My daughter has 2 acrylic bookshelves, so for this top one, I am going to do pink and greens, and the bottom one, I'm going to do purple and blues. I'm going to highlight over this whole thing, and I'll hit Command D again and bring it down here. Now I just need to figure out my colors. This first one is going to be a pink floral. The next one's going to be pink, so I am going to switch that. And this one's going to be green. I'm just going to do a pattern. I am just going to keep this black. I just have to remember that black is the pink floral. This one is going to be purple. This one's going to be a bluish floral, but what I'm going to do is change it to white and just remember that that is the blue floral. This is going to be a bluish color, and then I'm just going to keep that pattern. Okay, now I can click the Make button. I'll hit Continue. All of these are going to be on that cardstock, so I'll select medium cardstock for the cut setting. I follow the colors that it shows in Cricut Design Space, so the first one is the purple floral cardstock. These bunnies are so cute. I love it. If you're making a bunny banner for like a fireplace mantle, you will want to make your bunnies a little bit bigger. There's other fun places you could hang these. It would be adorable in a playroom or even a tiered tray. I used to decorate with a tiered tray and I haven't in a while. Now I'm ready to add the pom-poms. I'm going to use just a hot glue gun to add those. Later, I saw Michael's had pastel pom-poms, which I think it would have been so cute to match up those colors with the color cardstock, but I do like the white too. The hot glue worked really well to adhere these. Also, if you do not have a cordless hot glue gun, it's a game changer. Seriously makes projects so much easier. I'll link the one that I have down in my description box. What's your Easter tradition at your house? We do the classic Easter stuff. We do the egg hunts, Easter baskets, wear the Easter outfits and go to church service. We also usually do a brunch with either my parents or my husband's parents. Besides Christmas, I think it's my favorite holiday. Now I'm ready to add the ribbon through. The hole was just big enough. If it was any smaller, it would not have worked. We do usually dye Easter eggs with my kids, but with eggs being like $6 per carton, I don't think we'll do that this year. Our Easter egg hunts, we usually just do plastic eggs anyways. Before doing this, I grabbed the string and I placed it around the acrylic bookshelf to make sure it was the right size. I'm ready to add these to my daughter's acrylic bookshelves. I'm removing the books I have up there already and adding some spring and Easter books that she has. Now I'm ready to hang up the bunnies. I just use Scotch tape and I like to arrange the books around it so you can't see it. These are just so adorable. They look perfect in my 3-year-old's room. My next project, I found these snack boxes at the Target Bullseye section for only $1. For Valentine's Day, my mom put candy in little trays from the Dollar Tree, so that gave me the idea to do this. I'm going to put candy in each compartment and I'm going to personalize these lids with my kids' names on them. Then I'll put it in their Easter baskets. I'll be using this tech wrap vinyl. The colors just matched so well with the snack boxes. I'll also be adding some Easter ribbon around it just to give it a little bit more of a festive look. It did say this is dishwasher safe on top rack without the lid, but that's perfect because we're adding vinyl to the lid, so I would just gently hand wash it. I'll be personalizing in that little spot there with my kids' names. I'm just measuring it to figure out my font size. I'm going to clean these off real quick with rubbing alcohol to help the vinyl adhere really well to the surface. First, I'm going to grab a guide to help with my font sizing. I grabbed a square, then I'm going to go to Operation and switch it to a guide. For my width, I'm going to make it 2.5. It doesn't really matter what my width is. The more important thing is my height. I want to make sure my words fit on that space. I measured it 0.625. I'm going to grab my font. This is one of my favorites, especially for kids. It is so cute, and I am just going to type in all of my kids' names. Since this is 0.625, I feel like 0.5 will be good for the height, so I'm just going to try that. I'm going to bring it in here and see how it looks. I think that is going to look great, so I'm going to make these 0.5 also. Now I am going to grab another font and I'm just going to type in snacks for the other side. I'm going to make this 0.5 also. Then I'm just going to hit Command D twice to duplicate both of those. Okay, that looks great. I'm going to make Josh's snacks blue, and for the girls, I'm going to make it pink. I like to go over to Color Sync, and I can just drag all of the black under the pink. That makes it faster than clicking on all 3 of those separately. Now I'll go to the Make screen. I'm going to select Premium Vinyl Permanent Glossy for the cut setting. I usually throw the whole roll onto the mat when it's cutting, but this vinyl has a protective sheet over it. So I measure where I want it to cut and I trim it down to the size that I need. For the blue, it's going to be the same, so I use what I just cut to trim that one also. The Cricut machine will cut out the designs. Then I'll go in and weed out all that excess vinyl. Since I'll be adding candy to these, I'm curious what your favorite Easter candy is. There's so many good ones. There's the Reese's peanut butter eggs, Cadbury cream eggs, the little mini chocolate eggs, jelly beans, Lindt chocolate bunnies. Reese's is just my all-time favorite chocolate, so I think I would have to go with that. I cut the transfer tape down to size, and I just use that same transfer tape sheet for every single one, which is nice. If you don't want to do names, you can write Happy Easter. I've also seen people write bunny treats, and I think that's really cute. I didn't necessarily want to make it Easter theme because I want to use it after Easter for snack trays for my kids, especially for road trips. We're going to Washington, D.C. this summer, and it's a very long drive for us, so we'll be bringing this. I'm going to clean these with soap and water so I can add the candy to them so you can see how they'll look. Here's the candy that I picked up to put inside the snack boxes. I bought 4 bags of candy so I can put a different candy in each container. Easter's not until April 20th. I am going to be putting lids on these, but that's still a little over 4 weeks away, I think. So do you think it'll stay good? I'm adding the lids on, then I'm going to wrap some of that Easter ribbon around the box. Let me know if you like the ribbon on it or off. I think either way is cute, but with it off, I like how you can see all the different candy. I just love how these turned out. They're going to look so cute in my kids' Easter baskets, and it's fun to be able to keep using them throughout the year. I found this sunglasses case at the Target Bullseye section also, and it was only $1. I'm going to use HTV to personalize this with my name. I love using heat transfer vinyl on non-traditional surfaces like this soft case, and it really adheres well to this. I'll be using Caesar Glitter HTV for it. I don't know the color, maybe it's aqua. I found my font in dafont.com. This is such a great website where you can find tons of free fonts. This one is just a really fun one. Over in Cricut Design Space, I already have it pulled up. I'm just going to type in my name. For my sizing, I measured the sunglasses case and I decided 3.5 inches for the width would be a good size. The only thing I don't like about this is how far away the K is spaced with the rest of the letters. So what I'm going to do is click on Advanced and I'm going to ungroup the letters. Then I'm just going to click on it and use my arrow key to bring it over a little. That looks great. I'm going to highlight over the whole thing and I'm going to attach it together. Now I'm ready to select my cut setting. I'm using Glitter HTV. I need to go to Browse All Material. You actually want to use iron-on, not HTV for your cut setting. I'm just going to select Glitter Iron-on. I think I'll save that one too. It will automatically mirror the design, which I love that new feature in Cricut Design Space because I forget all the time. Now I just don't even have to worry about it. For HTV, you'll want to put the glossy side down, which is also the carrier sheet side down. This roll of vinyl just wasn't sticking to the mat, so I cut it down to size and it still wasn't sticking. Glitter HTV is pretty thick, so I got out my purple mat and that worked really well. I'm not sure if I would actually attach this to my bag. Those bog bags are really popular, but those snap in. I don't know if you could attach something like this to it, but I'd probably just put my sunglasses in here and throw it in my purse. I'm using my Easy Press Mini for this. I set it to the medium setting. In using HTV, always use a mat. You need something to press into for the HTV to stick well to it. I preheat this, then I press it for about 20 seconds using a constant motion. I don't use a Teflon sheet for this because I can see where my Easy Press Mini is going and I make sure I just press it over that carrier sheet. Here's how this turned out. It would make a fun gift. This is what it looks like with my sunglasses in it. I also thought it would work for pens or highlighters, so this is what it looks like with those in it also. Of course, I have another Target Bullseye find. I saw this and thought it was the perfect blank to use the Cricut. This was $5. It's made of glass, and I thought the straw and handle was so pretty. They had 3 different colors, I think. I'm going to clean this with rubbing alcohol. It was actually pretty dirty and really needed cleaned. I measured this, the height was 4 inches, and for the width, I wrapped it around the whole thing, but not the handle, and it was 11.75 inches. Finally, some easy dimensions. For the glass tumbler, I found this Retro Daisy glass SVG, and I'm going to be using that. I have it uploaded over in Cricut Design Space. Now I'm going to make a guide the size of those measurements that I took. I'm going to change it to a guide and then I'll type that in here. As you can see, this isn't going to fill up this whole thing, so I'm going to try to work with it a little bit. First, I'm going to make sure it fits inside the height. Then I'm going to duplicate this and see how that will work. I'm going to add these 3 flowers into here. This SVG, I don't like how it's grouped together. I wish each layer was separate, like all the dots, all the flowers, but it's not, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. I'm going to have to use the contour button for each layer. The first one, I'll hit contour. The only one I want to keep is this one. So I like to always hit hide all contours first. It makes it a little bit easier. Now I have just that one selected. I'll click on the next layer. I'm going to move it out of the way. I just want this flower. So I'll do the same thing. I'll pull that back in and get rid of those. The next one, I just want these 2 circles. So I'll hide both of those. And the last one, I want to get rid of these 2. Okay, so now I'm able to bring these in here. The only thing is it doesn't fit very well, so I am going to have to separate these again. I think what I'm going to do is contour one of these out and then duplicate it. Hopefully that's not too confusing. There might have been an easier way to do that also. I hope I'm not messing up the pattern too much, but I'm just going to kind of arrange these where I feel like they look good. I'm also going to do the same thing for this. I'm just going to duplicate it. It would have been easier if it was grouped differently in the layers panel. Okay, that looks really good. I am using 2 colors just like this, but I'm using blue and purple. So I'm going to go in there and change those. I'm going to grab one of the oranges. I'll make that blue. Then I'll grab the pink and make that purple. I'll go over to my color sync, which makes it so much easier, and I'll bring all the oranges to the blue, and I'll bring all the pinks to the purple. Next, I'm going to attach all the purple colors. I'll hit Shift on my keyboard and just do this in the layers panel. And honestly, I can't tell which one's purple with these. Okay, that one's purple. That one's blue. That one's blue. So this last one should be purple. Okay, now I can just look off of the layers panel. I'm going to grab the purples first. I'll hit Shift on my keyboard and select those. I'll attach all of them together. Then I'll grab the blues and do the same thing. Okay, so we have our purples and we have our blues. I'll select holographic vinyl for my cut setting. I'm using Tech Wrap Craft Bubble Free Mirror Chrome vinyl. Have you guys ever used this? It is perfect for glassware. I do struggle with bubbles sometimes, and these leave 0 bubbles. I believe they only have the bubble free in the chrome vinyl. I wish they had it in glossy or matte. Maybe I should suggest it to them and see what they say. These have that protective sheet, so I was just cutting this down to size. Then I'll have the Cricut machine cut it out. Every time I craft with this mirror chrome, I just think it is so pretty. Usually the holographic setting works really well for this, but it was a struggle a little bit to weed it out. I think if I would have hit more for the pressure setting, it would have been perfect. These will not work to directly layer on top because some of the dots would be covered up. I'm not sure if there was an easier way to do this or if I messed something up, but what I'm doing is just adding each dot to the flowers. Now I can cut a bigger piece of transfer tape. I place it down on one of the sheets. I didn't place it down very well, but that's okay. Then I cut out some parchment paper so I can do the layering hack. I remove the backing of the vinyl, then I place that on top of the parchment sheet. That's used as a barrier so I can place my whole vinyl down without it sticking and make sure it's completely lined up. Once it's lined up, I can remove that parchment paper and place the transfer sheet down. I was thinking some other cute designs could be butterflies, Easter eggs, or other florals. So many fun designs for spring. I lined this up with the backing already attached to it, and I have some of the transfer sheet exposed on the side. Once it's lined up, I press that down onto the glass. I make sure it's lined up, then I remove the backing and I slowly start to place the vinyl down onto the cup. I did speed it up here, so it looks like I was going faster than I actually was, but I make sure that the flowers are pressed down really well, then I remove the transfer sheet. Somehow I didn't have one of the dots, you probably noticed, but I went in and cut that out and added it back on. I didn't want this quite so high. I wanted the flowers underneath that white sealer thing. And there was a little bit extra room at the bottom, but I think it's totally fine. Here's a final look at it. I think it turned out so pretty. I love the colors. I'll probably put water or my Diet Coke in it. I do wait around 24 to 48 hours before washing it. I don't seal it or anything. I just make sure I hand wash it. For my last project, I am going to be making paper tulips. I'll be using these color cardstock. I also bought stem wire from Michaels that I'll be using. I'm going to upload my SVG first. I found this over on Creative Fabrica also. I'm going to be making 5 of these. You can go over to the Make It screen and make 5 projects, but I'm doing 3 pink and 2 purple, so I am just going to do it here. I'm going to ungroup all of these. I'm going to make these pink. I'm going to duplicate this 2 more times. These are going to be purple. I want yellow for the center pieces, so that is all going to be the same. I'm using a 12 by 12 cardstock sheet, so that's perfect for these. I'll hit continue, and I'll just select cardstock. The Cricut will cut out the pink cardstock first. It's been a while since I've made paper flowers with the Cricut, and it's one of my favorite projects, so I'm excited to be making this in the video. I realized after I cut out the pink cardstock, I could have arranged the mats in Cricut Design Space. Those 2 could have easily fit on the first mat. That's something that Cricut doesn't do a very good job of, but I didn't realize it until afterwards. After I cut these out, I was thinking they don't look realistic, so I'm going to paint them. I'm using Apple Barrel paint, which is my favorite. I buy it from Walmart. As I started painting, I realized that was the right call. The paint is giving it such a cool, realistic look. It did take a little practice to get the look that I wanted. I had too much paint at times, so putting it on that butcher paper helped with that. Also, using kind of the right stroke with the brush, it gave it a really neat effect. After I finished the purple, I went in and did the pink. I didn't have another paintbrush like the purple one, so I had to try a couple and ended up with this blue one. You can see here I had too much paint with this pink one, so like I said, it took a little bit of practice. And there's this one, and it looked perfect. When it was done, I flipped them around and painted the other side as well because you'll see both once it's assembled. I bought this tool at Michael's. I can't remember what it's called, but I use this to roll the flowers. I tried it on my desk, which was a hard surface, and it was not rolling at all. I pulled out my Cricut Easy Press mat and started using that, but it was actually curling it too much where the paper was getting tons of creases in it. It will have some creases, but it was a little bit too big of creases. I ended up finding this foam packaging in my office, and this worked perfectly. It was still stiff enough that it wasn't over curling it, but you can still press into it as well. I'm using some glass jars that I bought for this, and it came with that, so that worked great. When curling it, I roll it on the edges first, then I go in the center and just kind of work my way out, and that really works to get it to curl nicely. This is my first time making paper tulips, so I'm definitely learning as I go, so I'll show you what works and what doesn't for me. You want 2 per flower, and you want to make sure the outside is the prettier side because you'll see that more. I roll the yellow inside pieces also. I didn't paint these because you're not going to see them too much. I'm going to grab one of my stem wires and start assembling my tulip. I'm using hot glue. First, I grab these 2 yellow pieces and place it at the end of the stem. Then I'm going to grab my other yellow piece and slide it from the bottom of that wire stem. I'll add some more glue and just place it up against the other yellow pieces that I already put on. Next, I'll add the first flower through the stem, and I'll follow the same process. I'll add hot glue, then place it right up against the yellow piece. I'll add the last flower petals through. With this one, I want to make sure that they line up uneven so they're not right on top of each other, if that makes sense. Then I'll add some more hot glue at the bottom. Then I'm going to glue the sides of each inside petal so that I can connect these together. I ended up not liking using the hot glue for this part. It was so stringy and it just wasn't working too well. Also, I was putting the glue a little too low on the flowers. It's kind of in the middle. I found it easier to put it towards the top when I did the other ones. This is my first one, and you can kind of tell it still turned out really pretty, but I'll show you how I made one more. I'm doing a purple flower this time. I'm using the hot glue for every step except when I attach the petals together. I'm going to use the Barely Art glue and add a little dot towards the top. I do hold it for just a little bit longer to make sure it adheres. The hot glue adheres like right away. Then I add glue on the other side. This way is working so much better and it looks a lot prettier. I made sure these were curled just a little bit more, and that was very helpful. This is so pretty, and I'm really glad I painted them. It looks more realistic that way. Here's all of these done. They are gorgeous. It might be my favorite project ever. I just love how it turned out. I'm going to use wire cutters to cut the green wire and make it fit inside of this glass jar. This jar came in a 3-pack. It's really pretty. I'm going to add some pretty ribbon around it also. Here's how these turned out and where I placed them in my living room. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it through this whole video, put a spring or Easter emoji in the comments. It's just so fun to see those. If you make any of these projects, tag me over on my Instagram on Kayla's Cricut Creations. I love to see what you make. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, and I would love it if you subscribed if you are new to my channel.